So the last presentation was looking at different types or levels of economic integration. What I want to use now is our little example to explain the good and bad points of economic integration. So what we want to know overall, is it a good or is it a bad thing? And like most things in economics, what we'll see is it brings good and bad points. So again, we'll use this case study to illustrate and explain our reasoning for these different things. Now, one great thing that we've seen so far is that what it creates is trade creation. So there'll be more international trade between countries. So we can see in our example, country A is specialised in making product 1 based on comparative advantage. Country B, product 2 based on comparative advantage. So we've got trade based on specialisation. So people doing what they're best at. What that should mean is that there'll be down price, increased quality, which means higher economic welfare. We'll have a trading possibility curve which will exceed the production possibility boundary. People will be happy. Okay, now what we will also get is economies of scale. Country A is now making product 1 for both countries, so because they're making a bigger output, they can make more cost savings. Country B specialises in product 2, again makes this for both countries now, so they will increase their output, which means more economies of scale. Other benefits of economic integration is competition. If industry 2 wants to remain in country, it's got to become more efficient at what it does. That competition again drives prices down, increases quality, increases choice for customers, and again leads to higher economic welfare. What we have though is some bad points. It's trade diversion. When we get to a customs union, country A and country B are likely to impose sanctions on country C, i.e. stop trade with country C. Maybe originally country A bought product 2 for 90p. If country A and country B want a customs union though, what they will both agree to is a restriction which will stop product 2 coming from country C into product A. So rather than people paying £1 from country B, I beg your pardon, rather than paying 90p from country C for the product, they now pay £1. So trade diversion. This happens in the European Union. Sometimes, because we're trying to promote trade with Europe, we're forced to buy from a European country. It might be more expensive than an Asian country or an American company or somewhere from South America. What it can lead to, because of more competition, is deindustrialization. More integration means that our businesses can easily move to other countries. So in the European Union at the moment, many British businesses are moving to East Europe due to low wage costs. That means in Britain, we have industries moving abroad. It means we have growing structural unemployment. You've also got the impact on infant industries. Our small developing businesses now face massive competition from abroad that may never get off the ground. Given the chance and the protectionism they might have had previously, they might have begun to become very successful businesses. Unfortunately, they won't get that choice. Let's imagine now we're looking to expand our free trade area, our customs area. What this might mean now is that we're looking to allow country C to enter our integrated area. What we need to debate now is whether this is a good thing or not. So the next part of this topic, what we need to be looking at now, let's fast forward a page, is looking at expansion. And a good example is the EU. EU has expanded over time. It's currently got 27 members. Last 10 years or so, we've had lots of East European countries join. What we want to know is it's a good or a bad thing for Britain. And again, what we can see, like most things in economics, we've got both good and bad points. First point, our businesses can now access a bigger market. If we've got more countries in Europe, our businesses can access those new member states free trade. So potentially our exports will increase. That's only going to be seen as a good thing. It also allows those countries to invest in our economy. They might come from Poland to Britain because of our expertise, our skill levels. That attracts more foreign direct investment. Other ones. East Europe has provided Britain with lots of skilled, cheap labour. This has meant that in Britain what we've been able to do when we grew dramatically at the turn of the 20th century, we had lots of Polish immigration, lots of other East European countries had lots of workers come here. That kept wage rates down. So it enabled the country to grow and also keep interest rates low in order to grow even further. And because wage rates were suppressed, there was no inflationary problems. So we had growth without inflation, which meant interest rates could be kept low. This led to massive investment into our economy, lots of spending due to low interest rates. Bad points. Increasing competition. Our businesses suddenly face all this competition. That might mean that they might start to go bankrupt if they can't compete. Potentially, there might be a lower investment. Our businesses and other businesses might decide to move from Britain to these new member states, maybe to low wage costs or low health and safety costs. So potentially we could again have deindustrialisation in Britain. So we can see then that expansion creates good and bad points. Now the last thing I want us to cover in this unit is on the single currency. So we're now looking at the euro. So is a single currency a good or a bad thing? Again, like most things in economics, we've got good and bad points. Fantastic point about a single currency: transaction costs disappear. Linked to that, uncertainty disappears. When we were looking at a floating exchange rate, we knew that that uncertainty about the value of the currency meant that business investment was very difficult. Planning ahead was very difficult. So importing and export became a big risk. If countries in an integrated area have got the same currency, these disappear. So what this should lead to is more trade. And what we know is that more trade will lead to increased specialisation. It will lead to more economies of scale. It creates more competition. And in turn, all this leads to lower prices, higher quality, more choice for customers. So therefore, increased economic welfare. So it promotes integration. So if it promotes integration, it promotes all the benefits of integration as well. So clearly the bad things of the euro, well, all the problems of integration become apparent. More integration means our businesses face more fierce competition. Again, this could lead to deindustrialisation in our economy, which creates structural unemployment. Investment may leave our economy and go elsewhere. Other bad points. If countries have the same currency, they share a central bank. This means that we no longer become masters of our own interest rates. There'll be a common interest rate for the whole of the European Union. That will mean if Germany, the largest economy in Europe, wants to raise interest rates because they're in a boom, if Britain's in a recession, we want to lower them. That will mean that we can't alter our interest rate to reflect what's happening in our economy. And because across Europe we've got different economic cycles, this becomes very much unworkable. So for example, if parts of Europe are booming, they have inflation, they want to raise interest rates. If other parts of Europe are in recession, they will want to lower interest rates. So that might mean if those countries that want to lower them lose, so the interest rates go up, that might make their recession even worse. This is particularly important for Britain because we've got many people who have got credit. They bought houses on mortgages. That means we're more vulnerable to interest rate changes than the rest of Europe is. So for me, Britain cannot join the euro until some of these concerns have been taken away, and whether we can survive using the same interest rate as Europe.